Well. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got Maduro in Venezuela and with Trump. And we got some more things with the fraud allegations going on up in Minnesota and what Tim Walz decided to do. All this is next on It's Culture. Live. Let's get it.
We gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas. When the whole team win, that's when you flex. Win, and I'ma do it again. Watch me win, then watch me do it again. Tell them I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top.
Welcome to It's Culture Podcast. Tonight, well, we got a lot to pack tonight. We got a lot to unpack tonight, especially when it comes to what's going on up in Minnesota. We got a lot to cover when it comes to Maduro and all these things. So I just want y'all to sit back and relax and just watch this live show tonight. My name is Mark Stevenson. This is It's Culture. And this is your first time tuning in. This is my first live show of the year. But I talk about sports, politics, entertainment, trending topics. Why? Because I think it's part of the culture. And if you could do me a favor, you can hit that like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching it on any other streaming platform, do the same. And if you're listening to me on Spotify, just hit that subscribe button. It'll help me out. So let's get into it. First and foremost, happy Founders Day to the Brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. 115 years of honorable achievement in every field of human endeavor. So shout out to my fraternity brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Just want to get that out the way before we get started. I'm looking at this fraud up in Minnesota. We've all seen it. You've all seen it. The news has been talking about this for, I don't know, months now. But the media up in Minnesota been talking about this forever. All of this really hit the national circuit in real true fashion after the viral video from Nick Shirley last week dropped, and it opened up a whole can of worms and sent people into a frenzy. And you had people doing their own citizen journalism in states like Washington and here in Columbus, Ohio, where I'm at, and all over, looking for fraud in the Medicare system, looking at, particularly targeting the Somali-run daycare centers, because they are the center of the universe right now when it comes to these fraud investigations, because the vast majority of it is being committed by those of Somali descent. Not saying that all of it is being done by those of Somali descent. I just want to make that clear distinction. But a lot of this fraud involves a lot of people up in Minnesota. So much so that it is my belief that this corruption goes all the way to the top. This is not something new. This is not something that just came up in Minnesota. We're talking about decades and decades of fraud being done through our Medicaid system. The system that is supposed to be for low-income families has been getting robbed and pillaged for years in the state of Minnesota. Not saying that Minnesota is the only state where this is going on. Medicaid fraud is rampant across the United States, and it needs to stop. But in the midst of all of the fraud that's been taking place up there in Minnesota, You know, they have an election coming up, and the governor has made an announcement. Let's take a listen.
In September, I announced that I would seek a historic third term as Minnesota's governor, and I have every confidence that if I gave it my all, we would win the race. But as I reflect on this moment with my family and my team over the holidays, I came to the conclusion that I can't give a political campaign my all. Every minute that I spend defending my own political interest would be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals who prey on our generosity and the cynics who want to prey on our differences. So I've decided to step out of this race, and I'll let others worry about the election while I focus on the work that's in front of me for the next year.
So Tim Walz has officially decided that he would not run for re-election for a third time. So he can focus on the things that are going on in Minnesota. Well, Tim, newsflash, buddy, you should have been doing that anyway. Do we remember just a little bit over 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago, when Tim Walz really made his splash on the national scene? It was when he was being asked to be the nominee for the Democratic Party to be the vice president up under Kamala Harris. And even through his candidacy for vice president, things were coming up about him, but we didn't know anything about the fraud. Somehow or another, the fraud did not make the national spotlight. I don't remember Tim Walz debating J.D. Vance about the fraud that was going on in Minnesota. I don't remember that. And if y'all do, let me know in the chat. Just show, because I don't remember that. I remember him having to defend himself about him being in Tiananmen Square and whether he was deployed and did all these combat missions as a part of the Minnesota National Guard. I remember those things where people accused him of stolen valor and, you know. So, but I don't remember the fraud being publicized nationally. But this fraud is so rampant. It is absolutely so rampant. And it has happened for so long. This is not something new, okay? And I'm about to let y'all listen to a clip when this was almost 13 years ago. So we're talking about, I told you, over a decade long fraud, but I want you to let you listen to what they were doing then.
Driving down the street, I have no idea.
Halicki contacted the Fox 9 investigators after seeing our series of reports on Deco daycare centers. We uncovered evidence the company was collecting millions in public subsidies for providing bogus child care services to low-income families.
Okay, 2013. It's 2013, and they are out with an investigative report. And the allegations are that they are looking at daycare centers who are fraudulently getting money from the Minnesota government. This is 2013. 2013 as they are going around. Now, this is December 2014. Take a listen.
In essence, this scheme was really involved creating a criminal enterprise.
In December, Ramsey County charged Deco's owner with fraud.
The daycares that I'm going to be showing you from this point on all bill over $100,000 a month.
Halicki says before he was fired, he was tracking a similar scheme in Hennepin County involving multiple child care centers. He offered to take us on a driving tour to show what he'd uncovered.
It kind of sounds familiar to what Nick Shirley just did, right? Funny how when the media actually was doing journalism, like citizen journalism, they actually went out and did some things. Interesting.
What does this one say on the door?
7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are no lights on.
This building is housing its third daycare center in as many years.
They just got a new license.
The two previous daycares had their public subsidies stopped by the county because of billing irregularities.
So this was 2013. The man got fired. He got fired in 2013. Let me preface this. He got fired in 2013. He got fired from the Department of Human Services because they said that he was bullying people and his tactics. This man was out literally trying to uncover the fraud, blowing the whistle. He was a whistleblower, blowing the whistle back then, and they fired him. Nick Shirley did the same thing, right? Went out with a guy when they went around looking at the fraud. Same thing, right? Same setup. So this is 13, almost. So that was in 2013, 2014, 2015. I think that article, they published that in 2015. So that was almost, a little over 10 years ago. But he had been uncovering the fraud before that. So we don't know how far back this fraud goes because the person who with the Deco child care centers was indicted in December of 2014. The fraud knows no end up there. So Tim Walz really didn't have a choice because I don't think, even though he said that he could have won the re-election, there's no way in heck. Because this is what the citizens of the city are talking about.
First indictment, United States versus
Driving down the street of
first indictment.
To the fraud now in Minnesota. Federal investigators estimating billions of taxpayer dollars have been stolen from the state. And today we're hearing directly from the people who say the money was taken from them.
KTDC's Ryder Blair went around Rochester asking taxpayers two questions. How do you feel about the recent fraud allegations and who should be held accountable?
As a taxpayer here in Minnesota, how do you feel about the recent fraud allegations?
I think it needs to be investigated big time.
Last month, federal investigators estimated fraudsters stole $9 billion or more from Minnesota taxpayers.
As a taxpayer, yeah, that's a lot of money to be just out and about and no accountability for it.
They just need to start fixing it now.
Anybody who commits the fraud should pay, be put in prison and pay the money back. That's how
Yeah. They want the money back. They want the money back. But this fraud scheme, right? This fraud scheme, because I was going to show y'all this clip from up there in Minnesota with the Attorney General. This is wild.
First indictment, United States versus Hassan Ahmed Hussein and Ahmed Abdirashim Muhammad involves the owners of Pristine Health LLC, a housing stabilization services company here in Minnesota. These two defendants enrolled in the Housing Stabilization Services Program, purportedly to provide services helping people who were facing housing instability find and maintain stable housing. They did no such thing. Instead, they submitted fraudulent claims to Medicaid for services that they did not actually provide to those individual clients. In all, they obtained more than $750,000 in Medicaid payments through their fraud scheme, much of which they used for pretty extensive international travel, including to London, Sydney, Australia, Istanbul, Turkey, Dubai, and several locations in Saudi Arabia.
That right there just pisses me off. These people took our money, our taxpayer dollars. They took our money and went all overseas. They went flying around the world, buying properties with our tax dollars. And one thing that the special agent that was talking, if you go watch the full clip, because it's about 35 minutes long, there's a constant theme in this. There was even some people who didn't even live in Minnesota. They didn't even live in Minnesota. They left Philadelphia, participated in the same scheme where they're supposed to be providing services to try to help people get stable housing, just ripping off Medicaid to the tune of $3.5 million. And they weren't even from the state of Minnesota. And they only came to Minnesota because they heard that Minnesota was easy to rip off. That should infuriate every Minnesotan. That should infuriate every single American. That we don't have fail-safes in place. That we got people out here that are literally hooking up their homeboy and saying, yo, man, come to Minnesota. Come on up here, bro. Hey, this is a lick. We can lick Medicaid. We got all these services. We didn't got no checks and balances up here. These people don't know who is getting the money. And before they know it, man, we out. Oh, by the way, one of the people that got indicted, they don't know where he's at. Because as soon as he got whiffed that they were looking into his finances, he got on a plane and left the United States. Probably in Somalia somewhere, some other country hiding out. They have no idea where he's at. It's a reoccurring theme here. Decades long worth of fraud. Tim Walz decides that he wants to step down, well, not step down, but not seek re-election. This man was about to be the vice president of the United States of America. And behind him, as the leader of the state of Minnesota, he allowed rampant fraud to persist for decades. And the leadership before him, and the leadership before him, and the leadership before them. I don't believe for 1 second that the Somalis are the only ones involved, because we know Amy Bach was the director of Feeding Our Families, or Feeding Our Futures, whatever it's called. She still hasn't been sentenced yet, but she's already been criminally, she's been found guilty of all this fraud. $250 million worth, a total of $450 million when you factor in all the assailants of a COVID relief program that was supposed to feed children, the ones that the Biden administration decided to let stay at home. God forbid, we don't know what the effect is on our children who were not in school, who had to be homeschooled or taking online classes. We don't know what the effects that's going to be right now. But all this fraud happened. This man was about to be the vice president. And we ain't know nothing about all this crap that was going on in Minnesota. They were going to sweep this shit up under the rug. Wait. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want people to understand this. I want y'all to understand what is going on here. These people have ripped off. You want to know why our taxes keep going up? Because we got to pay for all this damn fraud. This is our money. FICA. Y'all know all the FICA taxes they take out your damn check? What you think this going to? Not just Social Security going into Medicaid. We supply the funding for all these programs, all these social programs. We have allowed refugees and all these people to come over to the United States on temporary status because their countries are war-torn. They're coming from dictatorships. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. They're coming from war-torn countries. We allow them to come into the United States. And then what did they do? They turn right around and rob our asses blind. And yes, I do think everybody's corrupt. I don't think the Somalis didn't come over here and learn this scheme on their own. They didn't come over here and learn this scheme on their own. They did not. Somebody in the Minnesota government taught these people how to scam the system. Because there's other people that have been scamming the system. It's not all Somalis. This fraud has taken place for too long, and what we don't have in our government is they are slow to react. Slow. The whistleblower that I showed earlier, he sounded the alarm. They fired his ass. Fired him. They wanted no parts of him. Just bringing this stuff to attention. They didn't want it. Nick Shirley goes up there, does the exact same thing, It blows up, and now Tim Walz decides that, you know what, I can't do it. No, the pressure was too much for you, Tim. The pressure was too much. There is no way in hell the citizens of Minnesota were going to put you back in office with all this incompetency going on up under your leadership. Your leadership. You tried to make this a race issue. You've tried to make this a xenophobic issue. You have blamed Trump for saying that the Somalis are being targeted. Your attorney general lied. Your attorney general, Keith Ellison, lied when he put out his statement and said that they had been investigating feeding our families for 2 years. They were already on it because he didn't know that the Somalis that came to come see him had secretly recorded the conversation and then they leaked it. Come on, man. Come on. That leaked audio, and then Keith Ellison comes out with a statement trying to condemn the leaked audio. Brother, you lied to the public at large. You said that you was investigating this shit. You ain't have no idea of to what the program was, what these guys were talking about. And the only thing you said was, you know what? If I make a call over there, things kind of shut down. They kind of get kind of quiet. They'll be like, knock it off. You was about to help these people commit fraud, and then they set their asses right up there in courtroom and still maintain that they were being they weren't being funded properly, because of racism. But they found out, nah, that was not the case. These people said that they was feeding hundreds of thousands of children per month to the tune of almost $500 million of our money. And they done bought lakefront properties, cars, luxury bags, trips, private vacations and villas in the Maldives. They balling on a budget, and it's the United States government, our tax dollars. We are paying for these people's lifestyles. They came up here and robbed us blind, man. They have done some things with this money that some of us will only imagine to do. We out here, you as an American citizen are paying taxes on every damn thing that you do. It does not matter. You are paying taxes on every single thing you do besides sleep and wake up. You go to work. You're paying Medicaid tax, Medicare tax, Social Security tax, income tax, federal, state, sometimes municipality, depending on where you live at, property, school board if you live here in Ohio. You go out to eat, sales tax. You go to the store to purchase something, tax. Tax. You go to fill up your tank at the gas station. There's not only a sales tax, there's a goddamn gas tax on top of that. You pick up your cell phone. Hey, have you ever looked at your cell phone bills and how many taxes are on your cell phone bills? Why are we paying for the FCC? Communications. Everything that you do, there's a tax on top of it. So the money that you making, they already robbing you blind, taking damn near your whole paycheck away, and what's little is left, they still taxing that on top of that. And then we got incompetency like this going on, and our taxes keep rising. We don't get no relief. We're getting screwed. I don't want to pay taxes no more. I don't think the government should have my money because I don't trust the government with my money. You all have allowed fraud to go on for over 2 decades in Minnesota. And I'm pretty sure if we start digging into Washington State, because they up there, we're looking at here in Ohio, we're going to be looking everywhere else across this country. Medicaid has been robbed for years. Robbed. And Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, has decided that he is not going to run to be the governor again. He's citing the uprising. I'm telling you, Tim, you weren't going to win anyway. This is pathetic. But it shades in comparisons to the narratives of my next topic here, which is what happened down in Venezuela. The Venezuelan people have been under a dictatorship regime since Hugo Chavez took office in 1999, up until his subsequent death in 2013. And at that time, Nicolás Maduro took over the government. They have tried to have fair elections. He won't let it happen. He lost his elections. He lost his elections. Would not leave office. And he has held the Venezuelan people under a crippling 25 years, over 25 years of this regime between Chavez and Maduro. They have crippled the the Venezuelan people. They have crippled the Venezuelan people's economic futures. People had to flee. It's the worst. It's been one of the worst humanitarian crises in the modern age. Over almost 8 million Venezuelans have been displaced all across the diaspora, all across the world, the hemisphere. They have been displaced. Over almost 8 million. The United States indicted Nicolás Maduro back in 2020 on charges that he was running a criminal enterprise, and that through violence, political assassinations, violence, election rigging, you name it, drug trafficking, every single thing, they had it all listed out. And at that time, when they first initially put out the warrant for the indictment and the warrant for his arrest, it was $15 million. Now, Biden comes into office in 2021. They're talking all tough because they felt at that time, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats felt that Trump had not done enough to get Maduro out of office. They basically said that Maduro was punking Trump. They even had who the United States acknowledges as the rightful president of Venezuela, Armando Gonzalez. They had him come to the United States. And he sat up in the Raptors as Chuck Schumer basically went on this diatribe about why Trump's policy in Venezuela was failing, and saying that Maduro basically didn't respect Trump and that he hadn't done enough. And had he done his job and removed Maduro from office, that Armando Gonzalez would be running Venezuela. That's what he said then. That's what he said then. Now, he turned around. He turned around and pivoted after they came out of office. Now, they kept giving sanctions because, Biden basically told Maduro, hey, we will release some of the sanctions, right? We will take away some of the sanctions if and only if you let a fair election happen. But that ain't happened. This happened.
Well, just when you think the feeding our... turn to Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms and proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration. As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo González Urrutia.
Did y'all hear what she just said? She said that, I'm going to start it back over. I want y'all to hear this. Listen to what she says.
Turn to Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms.
He completely disregarded democratic norms.
And proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration.
Illegitimate inauguration.
As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo González Urrutia on Monday, January 6th, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected.
The will of the Venezuelan people is respected.
In coordination with our partners, we've given Maduro and his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy, but they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable, and we imposed more visa restrictions totaling nearly 2,000 individuals. We also increased the reward amount to $25 million for Nicolás Maduro and his so-called Minister of Interior as part of the Department of State's Narcotics Rewards Program.
Okay. How the web weaves. They turned around and did this, right? They turned around. Raised the price, $25 million. Bounty. They didn't even recognize Nicolás Maduro as being the president of Venezuela. So why all the outrage now? If just a year and a half ago, you all didn't recognize Maduro, you added more sanctions, you did all this stuff. He told y'all, he promised a fair election. He punked Biden. And he started with Trump. And he told Trump, hey, you know what? Come get me. If you want me, come get me. Because he thought that Trump, because he had dealt with Trump in the previous administration, he thought that Trump wasn't going to do anything. He was going to keep on doing what they're doing. But that ain't what happened. You start seeing boats getting blasted our way. They started taking out these narcotics boats that they said, alleged narcotics boats. You saw oil rigs getting taken. And then finally, over the weekend, while everybody was celebrating and doing whatever they were doing, our president decided to conduct a military operation using Delta Force commandos to go into Venezuela and capture Nicolás Maduro and his wife and bring them back to the United States. Without any casualties, without any Delta Force commandos getting injured, without losing any American assets, without killing Nicolás Maduro and his wife, they apprehended them and brought them back to the United States, where he went before the Southern District of New York and got read his rights and appeared in court to plead not guilty to being a narco-terrorist. The people of Venezuela, upon this news on Saturday, took to the streets all across the world. All across the world. You all have seen these videos. These people were celebrating, they were cheering, they were crying, they were doing everything. Even the Venezuelans who were here in the United States, down in Doral, Florida, and Miami, and all across the country, they were taking, showing videos of these Venezuelan Americans and the Venezuelans down here on TPS and their refugees. They seeing them, just so overjoyed, crying, everything. And then you got Democrats out here with their paid protests, going out into the streets, talking about no imperialism. I thought y'all weren't for any kings. You all said that Maduro didn't deserve, he was an illegitimate president, that he was not the president of Venezuela. So essentially, we just went in and did essentially what happened to El Chapo. Went to the country, grabbed the narco, and brought him back so he can face charges for being a narco. That's essentially what happened. So I don't understand what the outrage is. We're not at war. And then for all these people that keep want to talk about, Was it lawful? Did President Trump have the authority to go do this? Did he have the right to do this? This is, he got to go before Congress. Stop. Pause. Okay? Stop regurgitating this stuff you hearing on CNN. All right? Number one, the president is the commander-in-chief of the military. The Constitution outlines, Article 2 tells you exactly what the powers of the president is. He can deploy the military to conduct military operations. This is not war. The only requirement is that he's supposed to notify Congress of the mission within 48 hours. That's what he's supposed to be doing. Now, if he wants to go to war, he can go to war. The declaration comes from Congress, though. But all these presidents have conducted operations without congressional approval. Do we forget Syria? Did we forget Benghazi? Did we forget the assassination of Osama bin Laden? Do you think Obama went to Congress to tell them that he get ready to go kill Osama bin Laden? We invaded Pakistani airspace. We didn't have the authority to go into Pakistan. We invaded their airspace, went in, and lost the helicopter. Took out the target, lost the helicopter though. So we have done these interventions in the past. This was a successful mission, and I'm not a supporter of Trump. I just don't believe in hypocrisy. But I also can give props when things go right. I have said on my show that I didn't think Pete Hegseth should be the Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, whatever he wants to call himself. I didn't think he qualified. But in this mission here, hey, bravo Zulu to all those commandos who pulled this off. As a veteran of the United States Navy, this is news to me. This is what we're capable of doing. This is the might that the military that we have. This is the training that we have. You know what I'm saying? So that is what makes this whole situation with these Democrats so mind-boggling to me. It's the hypocrisy. You all were saying all this stuff. You were talking tough when you all had power, when y'all didn't have power, and y'all said Trump wasn't doing nothing. When y'all got power, y'all really didn't do anything with it. Y'all didn't bring this man to justice. He played in your face. So you said that Trump wasn't doing nothing, and then he goes and do something, and now you're complaining because he did something. Which one is it? Which one is it? I honestly am confused because I just don't understand how you could switch sides, and then the media plays it like that because you want to make it about everything other than what it is. And I just wish that we as Americans, race be damned, okay? We all getting screwed. It don't matter, you white, black, Asian, whatever. It don't matter what we're all being screwed, okay? We're all being screwed. We've been lied to. We've been taken advantage of. All your money is being taken from you and being sent places that we have no idea. We never know what our government is involved in. Hell, we don't even know if we could trust the programs that we got in place, the safeguards that we got in place. Because there's no reason why fraud should have been able to take place this rampant in Minnesota without oversight. That means that there are people that are complicit in it. These people are complicit in it. That's why they ain't cared. Like I said, Tim Walz ain't leaving office because he wanted to. He leaving office because he might be getting indicted because I believe that he might have been involved. Or he just willfully ignorant. We gotta be real. And in this situation with Maduro, you can't say that he's an illegitimate president. He's a dictator. He has oppressed these people and this regime Sister Chava, this is an extension of the Chavez regime, and they have oppressed the Venezuelan people for 2 decades and a half. And then he gets arrested, gets brought to the United States to face justice for the crimes that he has committed. And now you saying that it's lawlessness. We can't do that. We can't do that now? Is this not what we did to go to Panama to get Noriega? I'm confused. If Biden would have gotten Maduro while he was in office, do you really think that Chuck Schumer and Jasmine Crockett and Amy Klobuchar and all the rest of these who have made their little runs on the news, do you really think that they would be coming out saying that what Biden did was lawlessness? Do you really think that? I don't. They would be praising it. I saw John Fetterman, the Democrat from Pennsylvania. He applauded it. They even had Senator Murphy. They had him on and showed him what he said back in 2019 about Maduro. Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut, had him on, read him his words, quote, verbatim. And then when they said, what's the change now? He just giggled, kind of laughed. It just started going on a media spin, word salad, start talking about things that don't have anything to do with it, want to talk about law. These people know. Let me tell you something. If the president really was doing things that they thought were unlawful, really, really unlawful, really, 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 really unlawful, there's ways to get him out of office. It's word salad, people. We've been screwed. They got us worried about left and right all the time, black and white, left to the right, conservative, liberal, all these isms and all these phobias, right? They keep us all in the barrel down here. They the crabs. They leaving the barrel. And they taking all their money, they taking all your money with them. So while we down here in the barrel, fighting each other, battling each other, killing each other, stealing from each other, robbing each other, the government is lying, stealing, and robbing you on the other side. And they doing it the legal way because they can hide all theirs. And even if they recover the fraud, even if they recover this money, right? These people that went out and bought properties and things with all this money, and even if they recover the money, you ain't seeing none of it. We ain't seeing none of this money coming back into your pockets. They ain't gonna. You never have heard the government get restitution and then pay back the money to the people, right? Unless it's like insurance, I'm talking about the government. When a government program has failed, because make no mistake about it, the Pentagon has failed their audit 8 years in a row. Like I said, we're focusing on Medicaid, right? Because of all the fraud that's coming out of Minnesota. But don't forget about the Pentagon's fraud too. Every government entity needs to be audited. But we can't audit, our government can't audit itself because all they're going to do is write the little reports up. Y'all see this stuff. These people had corrective actions in Minnesota to fix some of the things. They got corrective actions. I was reviewing the stuff here in Ohio, looking at some daycare centers, just looking at some daycare centers just to peruse. Some of the reports are online that you can review and see what the inspections is. Some of the inspections are not. You click on the link, nothing comes up. Just get a 404 error. So we know that not everybody in the system is doing their jobs. So fraud can persist because the people who are working there are not doing their jobs. And some of them may feel that they overworked, underpaid, so they ain't going out here really doing this thing. They're not checking this stuff. Man, listen. Some of them probably even got paid under the table. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these people who were inspecting these places get paid under the table. Or they might be from the same exact communities. Who knows? I'm telling you, This fraud has no ends. And we have been getting robbed. And while the media continues to keep you in a constant state of rage and cycling, we keep getting the shaft. See, they want you to look at stuff from a race issue, from a race standpoint, from a gender standpoint, from a national origin standpoint, from a immigrant versus citizen standpoint. They want you to look at things like that. They don't want you to look at the underlying root problem to all of this. Is that we have elected officials that we put in office, that you put in office, that I put in office, that have other interests, and they are taking advantage of all of this, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. There is something. It'd be a citizen revolt. We can say we ain't paying no more damn taxes. I think that might be. I mean, like I said, I don't trust the government with my money, but I don't know how you can pull it off though. I wish I could figure it out. I'm pretty sure there's some loopholes because there's so many, right? But I don't feel that I should be paying money to the government for anything because I can't trust the government to do what they say they're gonna do with the money. And we wondering why they always say that Medicare and Medicaid is gonna run out. Because they have allowed all this fraud to happen. It doesn't have anything to do with the senior citizens, payments. There ain't enough money. It's so much fraud going on that they have allowed it to happen so much that they done robbed the coffers. We're the ones that are replenishing it. Because all they do is raise the taxes. $1 here, 50 cents there. A penny here. And before you know it, all that stuff compounds. They done made up the deficit. We wonder why we got a national debt. It's because of fraud. Ain't got nothing to do with overspending. No, it got to do with a lot of waste and fraud. That's why the debt, and they keep raising it. It's an arbitrarily debt limit. They raise it every year. They know they're going to have a lot of fraud. I have been told by some people that they know that they're going to have at least 10% of fraud. 10%. They try to keep it under 10%. That's their threshold. It should be at 0%. We shouldn't have no plus or minus anything when it comes to my money. Because I guarantee you this, if it was you that were robbing the programs, you going to go to jail. If it was us doing it in reverse, oh yeah, it'll be a lot of accountability. Trust me. See, there's accountability at the bottom. Ain't none at the top. Politicians, they get to, leave office, change their legacies, go work on a news station, go be a commentator, and they could be the most horrible people. They'll come back on TV, they'll bounce back. But you and I, we done got screwed over. All these people, they went to prison. But what about the money that they took? Is that getting reimbursed back to us in some type of dividend? Will it come back? Will it lower cost? That's what I want to know. So my party thoughts tonight, I'm going to be doing these live shows. My next one would be Thursday night. It might be Friday night this week though. I'll make the announcement, but I plan to do live shows every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. and every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. moving forward. I'm still gonna be doing short clips, those short 10-minute, 15-minute videos, in case you just want to look at, like one of my topics, because I am gonna be covering a lot of stuff. But this is a year of growth for this channel. When I started this channel, even though my YouTube account is so old, I should have just started a whole new channel. But when I started this channel back in 2023, doing these podcast shows, I didn't know what I was getting myself into and how this was going to work. But I can say that over the last 2 years, this channel has grown. We're over 15,000 subs. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that share button. Do that for me. Help me out. Because I'm not asking for any money. If you notice, I don't have any links to PayPal and none of that stuff. I just want to cover. I just felt like there should be another voice that just brings stuff from a different perspective. This is an unbiased opinion. I am not a liberal. I am not a conservative. When you hear me talk, you may think so. You may think I'm a certain way, but trust and believe, if you watch enough of my videos, I hold both sides accountable because I believe that there's a truth in the middle somewhere. And I think that the vast majority of Americans, we are in the center. There's some things that we lean left on, some things that we lean right on. But this is where the vast majority of us are at. But we don't have a space politically where we can exercise that will, because we are in this duopoly of a political system that is effed up. Make no mistake about it. Republicans and Democrats have screwed us over. The public at large, we're in the center. We have nowhere to go. We have 0 places to go in this. So we either A, have to figure out how we move politically as a country to get the things that we want as a people, or we're going to keep getting screwed over by the politicians that keep getting put in our faces. Because trust and believe, you're not really voting for these people. These people were selected for you to vote for. They were already vetted. They have already passed all the screenings to being safe. And they're gonna beat the drum for the political party. Your interests are not their interests. Their interests are party specific. That's why the party has their agendas. They want people that align to their agenda, and that align the agendas of the political parties don't align with American people. You could be on two sides of the aisle. You can support guns and still think that gun violence needs to stop. You can support people loving who they want to love and marrying who they want to marry, but also believe that biologically born boys should not be playing in sports with women. See what I'm saying? You can live on both sides. You can believe in both sides, but see, when it comes politically, you can't think like that because there's no space for you, because there ain't no politicians out here that are doing that. They either fully left or fully right. So as we go through 2026 together on this show, it is my idea is to bring you a new perspective, with a different viewpoint that'll make you think critically. That's what we're going to do on this show. I'm going to make you think. Because if we start thinking, then we start doing, and when we start doing, we're going to start growing, and this country is going to develop into what we really want it to be, a more perfect union. But that's my time for this evening. Coaching Nation has been great. First live show of the year. And many more to come. So until next time, keep it culture, and we out.